Hi everyone, welcome on our topic Basic Principles of Photography. Based on our previous discussion, you've learned that photograph is the positive result of the photography, and it is also the mechanical and also a chemical result of photography. Mechanical because we use mechanical device such as the camera or the light proof box, and chemical result in a sense that it undergoes development process. In order to produce the positive results of photography, light is needed aside from sensitized material, since light is considered as the key element of photography. We cannot record something without light. In order to record a subject or an image, light is needed, since it is the key element. So light reflected or radiated by a subject must reach the sensitized material, such as the film first, in order for a latent image to be recorded. So light, as we have mentioned in our previous discussion, is an electromagnetic energy. It travels in all directions and it is distributed in the space by means of a tiny particles called as photons. And just like people, light has behavior also. They have the ability to be reflected. They have the ability to be absorbed, diffracted, or refracted, depending on the medium where the light will hit. So um, the light being radiated or reflected from the subject that you are going to photograph must reach the sensitized material, and all other lights must be excluded. So that is the purpose of having a mechanical device or having a camera. It excludes unnecessary lights or unwanted lights in order to produce a quality photograph. A photograph that is not overexposed and underexposed. For us to exclude the unnecessary or unwanted lights in order to avoid overexposure, this is achieved by placing the sensitized material, specifically the film, inside the camera. If we are talking about traditional photography, where we use an analog camera. So the film will be placed in the analog camera in order to exclude unwanted and unnecessary light, with also the help of a lens, because a lens will bend the light towards each other for it to be recorded on the film. The amount of light on the sensitized material after exposure, after light will react on the silver halide crystals on the sensitized material, specifically the film, is not immediately visible to the eyes, and that is what we call the latent image. Latent image kasi we cannot really see the recorded image yet on the film. It needs chemical processing. In order to make the formed image, the latent image, visible, it must undergo development process. And in developing a film, in making the image recorded on the film visible to our eyes, D76 chemical will be used, okay, in order for us to produce a negative film. Again, negative film is considered as negative as such because the result is inverse. As you can observe, um, in the negative film, dark objects or the dark objects or your image or your subject, okay, appears to be bright on the negative, and bright objects, bright image or subject appears to be dark on the negative. So the result is inverse in the negative film. The visual effect, or what is seen on the film that results from chemical processing, is dependent on the quantity and quality of the exposing light. So, paano mo matatansya yung light that will enter or that will react on your sensitized material? You should set the proper camera setting. There are three major elements that there are three major settings that you must set in manipulating a camera: the ISO sensitivity or the film sensitivity. Second would be the aperture setting, the lens opening, ayan, or the diaphragm opening. And the other one is the shutter speed. Gaano kabilis maglo-close or open yung shutter within your mechanical device. So it determines whether the result would be overexposed or underexposed. Okay, so more light that will enter or that will react on the sensitized material will result to black shade. Kasi nga, bright object, the brighter the object, the darker it will appear on your film, okay, on the sensitized material after development. Also, if in the photographic paper, the brighter or mas madami yung light that will hit the photographic paper, it will yield or it will appear dark once it will be developed by a Dectol chemical later on. Okay, so too little light will produce a transparent or white shade. So, pag kokonti yung light that will hit the sensitized material, once it will be further developed, um, it will be it will result to underexposure. Hindi ma-emphasize ang mga certain tones in certain areas of your image or of your subject. Finally, the varying shades of gray that is developed on your sensitized material will finally form the complete image. Here is a simple illustration on how light will write on a film. Okay, so as you can see there, going back to the here, okay, this part is the called as the tongue of the film. This one naman is called as the sprocket holes, where you will mount later on the film on the sprocket, um, sprocket teeth inside the analog camera. Now, this part is the emulsion part, where it contains the sensitized material or the silver halide crystals. It is where the silver halide crystals are suspended. So this is an example of an exposed film. Film will be put inside the mechanical device, specifically the analog camera, and later on, okay, when light will hit the unexposed film, okay, yes, okay, the subject will be recorded. So this one, okay, is an exposed film already. So here is our subject. As you can see there, the result is inverse. Okay, pero hindi pa siya immediately visible to our eyes because in order for us to see a visible image on the film, it should undergo chemical processing. So as you can see there, if it will undergo chemical processing using D76, bright object, okay, this one, bright object appears to be dark on the negative and dark object appears to be bright on the negative. So if you have any questions, clarifications, please feel free to put it in the comment section.